welcome back to another edition of the Mayo Football Show podcast. It's week 31, and this week the action comes from the FAI New Balance Junior Cup. We'll be showing you the goals from Westport's clash with Kiltimagh Knock Utd and from another thriller in Concannon Park where Claremorris faced Castlebar Celtic. And we'll be bringing you a preview of next weekend's Connacht Super Cup final between Ballina Town and Castlebar Celtic. But before we bring you this week's results, we want to hear from you, the players. On the 26th of November in Solar 21 Park, the Mayo Football League will be hosting a players' forum. We're inviting players from every club in the county to come and tell us how they see the future of football in Mayo. For the third time in recent weeks, Claremorris faced Castlebar Celtic. The two previous encounters were thrillers, and this proved to be no different. Claremorris' Dean Roddy got a hat-trick, putting the home side into the lead each time. Liam Flatley's return to the Celtic side has seen them make a significant improvement in recent weeks, and his two first-half goals saw the teams go in level at the break. In the second half, Dean Roddy completed his hat-trick before Stevie Gavin equalised. Celtic's fourth was scored by Jerry Hunt, who put Celtic in the lead for the first time. It proved to be the winner, and they advanced to round 4. Westport United had a much easier route to round 4 when they produced a 5-0 win to beat Kiltimagh Knock Utd. Phil Keegan has been back in the United side in recent weeks, and he scored the opener. Darren Brown got the second. Keegan got his second and United's third to put them 3-0 up at half-time. Jasper Frisch scored the fourth, and a header from Joe Lawless completed the scoring. In the other two games that took place today, Premier League Conn Rangers had a narrow escape against League One side Partry Athletic. It was the visitors that took the lead after just 5 minutes. Luke Rowan equalised for the home side on the half-hour mark, but Partry went back ahead with just 12 minutes to go. Conn Rangers piled on the pressure, and Owen Prendergast struck an equaliser with just 5 minutes to go. It looked like the tie was headed to extra time, but Luke Rowan grabbed the winner in injury time. As has been the case so many times in the past, Rory Gallagher was the hero for Killala at Courthouse Street. The first of his two goals came when he put the keeper under pressure, dispossessed him and rolled the ball into an empty net. Alan Coultry provided a great cross for Gallagher to head in his second. Crossmolina pulled a goal back in the second half, but it wasn't enough, and it's Killala that advanced to round 4. Earlier today, Angelina Nugent previewed next week's Connacht Super Cup final on the Sunday Sports Show. She was joined in the studio by Mick Duffy and Niall Leahy of Ballina Town and McNicholas and Stephen Walsh of Castlebar Celtic.
You're welcome back to Sunday Sport on Midwest Radio. Now, as we all know, Connacht Super Cup final takes centre stage next Sunday. It's a 2 o'clock kick-off for Ballina Town and Castlebar Celtic, and what a game it promises to be, and we're going to preview it for the next little while now. Delighted to be joined in studio by members of both camps. They've come together to chat, I'm sure, for maybe the last time before the two sides meet next week as well, and we want to delve into this one a little bit more. So, as we said, Ballina Town and Castlebar Celtic, two giants of the game in Mayo League Soccer. I'm delighted to be joined in studio by Michael McNicholas and Mick Duffy, the opposing men on the sideline, and I think incidentally by two right backs. So you both right backs, Stephen Walsh and Niall Leahy, are with us as well in studio. So thanks for joining us, guys. We appreciate it. And Mick, maybe we'll start with you, if you don't mind. I suppose it's been some season for Ballina Town, runaway league winners. So this would be obviously a huge game going into it, but would be a lovely win for you as well.
I would. It's been a great season, and we finished last weekend against Manola. It was the last 18 games, 16 wins, and so it was important that we finished strong. So it was a great feeling. I told the lads afterwards how proud I was. Even though after winning the league, it was a bit of a come down, and it's kind of difficult to get the players back up again for cup games and stuff like that. So a great season, and this is just another opportunity for the boys to go and kind of and to show it's our last game. So so it's really looking forward to it.
What do you put this year's success down to? I mean, we sat in the studio last year previewing the cup final. And I suppose we were just talking, the lads, the Mayo League, and we'll hear from them later, we were saying maybe it's maybe a flip situation this year where, the focus is very much on you because of the nature and the way you won that league title. What do you put the change kind of down to, or the success down to this season?
Yeah, well, I think we won that cup final last year. That we were obviously previewing that last year, and winning that gave us a little bit of belief in what we were doing, and that helped us then for the start of this season, where we kind of sat down and said, what do you want to achieve? And when you have lads that want to do it, and myself, Decky, and my brother Tom came in as well this year from the fitness point of view, and we just kind of sat down and said what did we want, and so they have put in the work. They've been phenomenal, the lads, and we've just guided them, and it's just good start always helps as well. So it's just kind of steamrolled from there, and each of the players trying to get the best out of themselves, and us, the coaching staff as well, trying to do our best, and it's been great. It's been really good,
Yeah, Michael, just on that, I suppose, and you talk about rivalries, and there's always some great rivalries in the Mayo League, but of course the two teams met in the Junior Cup, and on that occasion you came out the right end of that recently as well. So there's big battles between these teams when they meet in competitions like cup competitions or cup finals.
Yeah, most certainly. We probably came out on the right side there a couple of weeks ago in the FAI Junior Cup, but didn't earlier in the season in a couple of games, I think. Credit to Ballina for different circumstances from our own perspective. But yeah, like, as you rightly say, Angelina, they're always tough games, and I'm sure next Sunday will be much of a likeness.
I mean, what do games like this mean? Mick has outlined, obviously the Mayo League season has finished up in the last week or so. And these kind of come then at the end of what's been a long season for players and management alike. Is it difficult to get guys motivated for something like this?
I don't think in our own instance it is, because our season was very up and down throughout the year for a variety of reasons, and this is a competition. At the beginning of the season we targeted it very much as with the league, so from our own perspective we'd like to finish the season with some silverware, and that's probably what's keeping us going at this stage.
So maybe I asked Mick about their season, and we know what happened for Ballina Town this year, and it was special to watch. Probably not very easy for other clubs to watch, but it was a very comprehensive win. So for yourselves, how would you have described the league season, Michael? You did say earlier, I suppose, up and down, and perhaps a variety of reasons contributing to it.
Yeah, look, we can stand here. We had a lot of issues that most teams, if not all teams in the league, encounter. Maybe in our own case, trying to get players back, getting a squad, starting off maybe a little bit from scratch as well, I think. Players like Stephen here has come back in amongst maybe the likes of Corey Scahill, Adam Murphy. Liam Flatley was a big loss to us this season as well. I think, you take the likes of Liam out of any team, the equivalent to probably Benny Lavelle and Ballina, you lose a lot of goals. So we had to encounter those, we had to get over them, but definitely I'd say in the last 6 weeks we're getting together, getting the squad of players that we wanted. Would have liked to have had that earlier in the season, but we're moving on from where we are now.
Absolutely. Well, we'll talk maybe more now about the players and talk to them. Niall, thanks for being with us as well. I suppose it's a great time to be involved with Ballina Town as a player.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I think I came back in this season, like, it was just to see the atmosphere around the camp was phenomenal. There's a great group of lads too that are extremely motivated. We have a good blend of youth and experience, which helps any team. And then added to that, we've a very good management setup at the moment. I think, as Mick was saying, bringing in Tom with a fitness point of view, I think has made a huge impact. But and Decky, of course, as well, and Mick. And then when you're winning games, it obviously helps. Confidence is high, and thankfully we've been able to win most of the games this season. And when you do that, it helps in every aspect of the team.
How important is that? I was actually speaking about that off air, that winning mentality. Winning breeds confidence, doesn't it? It's a confidence that you can't buy, you can't instill, but once you're on a roll, you're on that roll. Yeah,
it's kind of hard to describe it in words really, but it's just an experience you have as a player, that when you are winning games, you have that little bit more confidence going off the pitch for the next one. When you're in situations that are tougher than other ones, for example, like, I think you're able to deal with them better because you have that experience of winning, that winning feeling.
Yeah, now Ballina Town, Castlebar, Celtic, and I suppose two of the big towns obviously in the county, two clubs with great tradition. It's great when you do meet in a cup final like this. Obviously you're on the right side of it last year, but you never know with these cup finals.
No, absolutely. I think form goes out the window really in cup finals. It's there's a lot of factors at play that determine who wins. Obviously Ballina and Castlebar, there's a big history there which adds even more spice to it. They're an excellent team, they've strong points all over the pitch, but so do we, and I think that's what makes it such an interesting matchup.
Yeah, and Stephen, last but certainly not least, thank you for being with us as well.
No worries.
I suppose, as a player, do you look forward to these sort of days?
Oh, absolutely. I just came back in July when Nixie asked me, and like, this is what you look forward to: cup final, Mile Bush, big crowd. Like, this is what you want, playing Super League champions. Like, so, you know, this is what you want to be playing for. And yeah, you need a bit of silverware at the end of the season, or else people will be asking questions.
Absolutely, and yeah, definitely for a club like Celtic, who have such a big tradition in these sorts of competitions. You said you came back in July. How have you found it? I mean, what was it like coming back? Have you been enjoying it?
Oh, love it. Like, it's great to be back with the lads, and good buzz around the camp. Had a great test with Ballina in the FAI Junior Cup, and hopefully we can just kick on from there, and you know, another big test next Sunday, and hopefully get over the line.
What is it about playing at this level? I mean, we've spoken quite a number of times in these sort of previews and with the officials from the league about the standard in the Mayo League, and it is, you know, it's not lip service to say it's a very high standard.
Yeah.
You know, it must be special to be involved at a time when you have the likes, you know, anyone can win that league title really. It's up for grabs every year, and that must be a special time to be involved.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, next Sunday coming up against Ballina in Mile Bush, they're a team that play football. Be good football to watch. As a spectator, it should be a great game. Like, so yeah, really looking forward to it.
What would it mean to you personally, were you to overturn, we'll say, last year's result in this cup final on Sunday?
Be huge, absolutely. Last cup final I was involved in was the Connacht Cup 2013, and lost that day to Ballina Slow. So haven't won a trophy since. So you know, to come out
it's
the right
amazing
side,
actually, to think of it that way. Yeah,
to come out the right side on Sunday would be massive.
Yeah, Michael, I mean, that probably puts it, people would be surprised maybe, and puts that into perspective a little bit in terms of Celtic. And there would be a hunger there always within the club to do well and succeed in these types of competitions, isn't there?
Yeah, we've a great tradition in the club. You know, if you go down through the years, there's, you know, come to all our games, there's guys that have won several Connacht Cups, have won many Mayo League titles as they were known at the time. So there's a lot of expectation, and that's something that we talk about, is being able to handle expectation. And you know, we're working on that, but that comes with who we play for, and we're proud of being part of Castlebar Celtic. And as Stevie rightly says, you know, we want to put some things right this year.
Yeah, talk to me maybe a little bit, and we'll get from both camps. I know you won't give away any state secrets at this point, but how are you squad wise going into it? Have you any kind of residual injuries from the end of the league and that kind of thing, or will you have a fairly full squad to choose from?
No, I think to be straight up, I think we're down 3 lads. I think Stevie is out, Stevie Ryan, and the 2 Nevins are out. Outside that, I think it's probably been one of our biggest issues this season, was not just getting a squad of 16 and 18 at times, was getting 13 and 14 together for games due to injuries and suspensions. But yeah, leading up to the final, outside the 3 boys, we're probably in as good a shape as we have been all season.
Yeah. What about yourselves, Mick? You know, they are. I said that at the outset. I think they're long seasons, and you can't get through it unscathed. So how are you fixed going into this one?
Yeah, well, we have a good squad still, you know, and but even over the last few weeks we've had to chop and change, you know. We've had injuries to Mark Baran. The last time we played Celtic, I think we were missing, you know, with suspensions, we were missing Dylan McKee, Benny Lavelle, and a few others as well. So, and there's a few carrying knocks going into the final. There's a few, like Davo Doherty won't be available. We've obviously suspensions with Derek Tansey, and Mark Baran is struggling, Benny is struggling. Obviously, as a manager, you'd hope that they're going to be making it, but it's not ideal build up to be not knowing who the, you know, and even against Manolo we're putting in players, and even against, you know, I'd like to think that we'll be strong against for the final, but we're still putting in players that are going to be playing, like, we're going to have a new back 4 probably, and you know, players playing out of position, but like I said, you know, we'd like to think that we'll be able to compete as well. Do you know what I mean? Despite the, like, Derek Tansey is a big loss in there as well, centre back as well, so he's suspended. So that said, like I said, you know, we'll be looking to compete as well, you know.
Oh, absolutely. I'd say now you'll do more than compete as well. The cute managers game is going on here as well with you, but definitely, I know it is, as we said, the end of the season. I just think it's, you know, can be difficult where you are kind of faced with all of those issues. I suppose every year we sit and chat, and I kind of touched on it with Stephen about coming up to cup finals, about the standard within the league. From your point of view, Mick, like watching it week in, week out, where are we at in terms of Mayo League soccer? Don't be worrying about the Mayo League lads.
No, don't worry.
Here.
No, but it is very it is a very good league, and you can see that it's every year it's building now. The the public are becoming more aware, and the standard is rising all the time. I was even thinking of Nixie and the work that he's been doing with his side, and the improvements over the course of the year. Ourselves with our side, you've got John Russell with Westport.
Yeah.
3 good coaches putting in a lot of work in, and I know further down the table there's good coaches as well, and even though they're obviously not fighting for trophies or what, but there's a lot of good being done, and that's on the field. But then off the field you have this podcast coming in this year from Sean Malloy, and it's just been incredible. It's gained incredible traction on social media, and the website is great for the stats and to check, you know what I mean. So you go around the country. I played up in Dublin, there's nothing like this, and even the facilities, you'd be thinking up in Dublin. I played in the Leinster Senior League up in Dublin, and the pitches are not like we have down here as well. So I think I know they're there, but there's a lot of good that we need to be really grateful for the Mayo League, and to appreciate what they've been doing for the league and the.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, Stephen, just maybe to bring you back in, and I'll go to Niall on this in a second as well. You mentioned like the last cup final you were involved in was 2013, and you came back in July. So as a player and what you're playing against at the moment, how are things standard wise, do you think? Has it improved over the last few years?
Well, yeah, definitely. Struggling to get the fitness, for the first 3 weeks coming up against guys, and they're just at it every week in, week out, like they're just on the ball. It's definitely improved. Last season I was up in Dublin, so
you can contrast it very well as well. Yeah,
I was up with Castleknock Celtic, and that was a very high standard. Coming down here, it's no different, and everyone's playing for places, and everyone's playing for 3 points. Not Kiltimagh came down to Celtic Park and took 3 points off us, and it's just every game is nearly a cup final in the Super League.
And of course some of those clubs, they love going to the bigger clubs and doing inverted commas and taking points off them. So on that point, I suppose now, like when you're playing week in, week out, like I said to Stephen, are you seeing that kind of improvement in standard? Because I think a lot of people again might be surprised to hear you saying about, I've played in the Leinster Senior League, played in Dublin, standard is as high in Mayo, because sometimes it maybe doesn't get the support this side of the world that it could do.
No, absolutely. I think the standard is very high. Like there is, Stephen said, there are no easy games in this league. Even often against teams that you think you might have an easier time against, that's not the case. I think the standard of football too is improving enormously. A lot of teams are trying to play it the right way on the ground, whereas before, you might have expected more aerial battles. But I think that's just testament to the coaching that's been done at underage level. It's shown then in the senior level when players progress.
What I suppose makes it special to be playing for, and I'll ask you both this, the club for this cup final on Sunday, to be playing for Ballina Town, what is it that makes it, I suppose, unique or that little bit special for you, and probably family and friends as well?
It's kind of hard to sum up in words, to be honest. It is it's an enormous sense of pride, personal pride. I don't think you fully appreciate something until you take a back seat and realise just what you're doing. You're representing your town, past players, family that have lived in the town, and there's a lot of history attached to the club. So when you get to don the jersey and you're representing an awful lot, there's a lot at stake. There's very few lads my age that get the chance to represent their club at such a high level. So I think you should always be appreciative of that, and it's certainly something that I've come to appreciate a lot more as I've got a bit older, and not to take any match or training session for granted.
Yeah, and Stephen, I see you kind of nodding at that, because similar sort of experience, because I do think that there, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to any other club, but the history and tradition associated with the two clubs here. Celtic has such a hugely proud tradition, and it is a badge of honour to don the jersey, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. People ask me why I came back, why are you travelling down from Dublin every weekend? Well, it's because Castlebar Celtic. You have an honour playing with them. It's an honour putting on the jersey and representing everyone at the club and what they work for. And that's what next Sunday is all about, just going out and trying to do the business.
Michael, why would you encourage people maybe to head along to Solar 21 Park next weekend? If we have people tuned in today who think, I don't know if I'd bother going to that now, but what would you say to sell it to them?
I think if you go back to the junior game that we just played a couple of weeks ago,
Yeah,
it was
great.
probably, I've spoken to people that have been going to football games throughout Mayo and maybe even further afield, and they said, you know, it was probably one of the best games of football that they'd seen. It was two footballing sides, and I think, you know, everything about Solar Park, you know, it's geared for football. You know, the pitch, everything, and you know, there's going to be big support, I'm sure, down from Ballina. We always have our loyal supporters as well. Makes for a great day's football, and I would say get down and take a look and make, you know, cast your own opinion after that.
Yeah, and Mick, that's it. You know, people just, that's what I would love to see, you know, these sort of, not just the cup finals, but attendances perhaps going up, because people will be treated to, you know, a spectacle of two of the best teams in this cup competition. Obviously they're there on merit, playing it in a stadium that's just so suited to football.
Oh, it is, yeah. The pitch is brilliant, and you know, I think the 5-4. You're going to be guaranteed goals, I'd say, with the attacking force that these guys have and ourselves. I don't want to jinx it either, but yeah, two good sides that, you know, that are lovely to watch, and it's lovely to watch back as well if you see some of their matches from before. And any time we've played each other, it's good quality players on both sides that are you know, they can produce moments of magic on the day. You know, so you look at Lean Flatty there, and Jason Hunt, very dangerous, and ourselves as well. We've got, you know, Dylan Edwards there and Dylan McKee, lads that are, you know, that can, like I said, you know, produce those moments of magic. So, you know, of course, it's a given that people should be coming to see this. You know, above any two teams coming up against each other. Yeah, so it's going to be. Should be special, hopefully.
Yeah,
hopefully.
absolutely. Well, we want to wish you all the very best of luck. Thank you so much for dropping into us. We'll take a quick break here, and we'll be chatting with some of the Mayo League representatives after these here on Midwest Sport.
Both teams in the Connacht Goals Super Cup final, which takes place in Solar 21 Park at 2 o'clock next Sunday. And that's it from us for another week. Please join us next week for our very last podcast of the 2018 season. See you then.